Hello and welcome everyone to the very first episode of Side Dive. Side Dive will be an ongoing series for Rex and I to occasionally pop in once a week in between new episodes of Deep Dive and shoot the shit with you. This is your boy Practical, and I'm here today to talk to you about, I guess, something that's just been kind of bothering me. And that something or someone is former child actor Corey Feldman. I see Corey Feldman every day now. Ever since this more recent resurgence of him being a pop rock entertainer, or whatever the fuck you want to call him, I think it's ridiculous. And I don't really know what the deal is with him or why he seems to think that what he's doing is good, but he seems to have zero self-awareness. And let me just throw out the disclaimer here that, look, I know he's a victim of abuse, and I know that those things will play a factor into some of the behavior I think we see from Corey Feldman. And look, I am not bashing him for any of those things. I'm here to give him also a little bit of praise, but I am jumping on here to talk some shit about his current music career. And I think, like I said, it's full of delusion. But let's start all the way back first. Okay, let's start and talk about 80s Corey Feldman. When he's young, he's hitting the screen with a lot of success, like Stand By Me, The Goonies, The Lost Boys. He had that brief stint as a possible main character arc, Tommy Jarvis, in the Friday the 13th movies. So I'd say, his early career led to his kind of later buddy film duo comedy stuff with Corey Haim. And Corey Haim being his best friend at the time, those guys had, a lot of good comedic chemistry together. And the movies they made together were not blockbusters by any means. But at a young age, my brother and I used to watch them, and we were amused by a lot of them, primarily License to Drive. License to Drive is a good example of the potential that Corey Feldman probably could have had. The role was not a breakout, Oscar-worthy, fucking mind-blowing role, but it was, I think, for him, it could have been groundwork for something greater. But instead, like it is the case for a lot of child actors, both victims of abuse and drug abuse and things like that, he went off the deep end and he wasn't, as predominant in the film world. And maybe some of that has to do with him being outspoken about his abuse, and maybe that's punishment from higher ups. So that's something I can't really confirm or deny with Corey Feldman. I believe him about past abuse, but in interviews he kind of makes it sound like he's blacklisted for telling the truth. And I can't confirm or deny that, so I'm not going to touch that. But I will say he had potential as a young actor, as a character type, maybe similar in a lot of ways to an older Christian Slater at the time, or something along those lines. Like, I'm not trying to piss anyone off, but something like that, Anyway, the moral of the story is he goes off the deep end. He starts doing the music at an early age as well. So when the two kind of sever off in tandem, we don't see Corey Feldman for a while. And then in the early 2000s, he resurfaces again in the form of, talking about the abuse of Corey Haim and Corey Haim's drug addiction and the very public Two Coreys reality show, which only lasted like 2 or 3 seasons. I think 2. But then he goes away again. And then 2007 or 10 maybe, he comes back into the music scene. Um, Maybe not back. Like, I'm not exactly sure how active he was in that scene, but he's on the Today Show doing this angelic to the core tour. So he does this performance. It's ridiculous, and I remember finding it maybe only like 6 years ago. So I was a little bit late to the party of that little resurgence he had there. And I use the word resurgence very fucking lightly. I'm not saying he's out here hitting ridiculous heights. I think right now where he is probably the most attention he's gotten since his early acting days. And with that said, that kind of is what brought us to our video here. And some of the things I'm saying, they're just my opinion on his music, but I think it sucks. I think it's a fucking dumpster fire. And I think modern Corey Feldman is playing a character of Corey Feldman that feels like a joke that a stand-up comedian probably told back when he was an up-and-coming actor. Like, where will Corey Feldman be in 20 years? And he tells this fucking outlandish joke about, well, he'll be a pop rock star that everyone laughs at. And, I don't know. If that's just how it comes across to me. And I think Feldman is either a genius or a jackass. I don't think there's an in-between. So the genius part would be from knowing people are laughing at you and just fucking going along with the ride in the internet era and doing what you're going to do and making any money that you can along the way from your current shtick. And more power to you if it's that. But a small part of me believes that he straight believes he is good at what he's doing right now. I mean, you see the videos of him supposedly shredding a solo, and he's just fucking terrible. I mean, like, I can't with a serious face try to not shit on this. And you should obviously form your own opinion on it and watch the videos, because everything is subjective. Maybe I'm just a dick, but I don't think so. I think if you jump on there, you'll see what I mean. There's just this aura of shittiness, and it feels like intentional shittiness, or it feels like the shittiest someone can be without it being on purpose, but he's along for the ride. Like, he gets people like him ironically, but he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna roll with it. And either one, I don't know that's very good either way. And there's a lot of things about Corey Feldman that I think merit a conversation. Some of those things being trying to come out with a documentary maybe 10 years ago and say, like, hey, I've got all this information on these pedophiles and these child predators, and they're hurting fucking, more kids than just me and Corey Haim at the time, and it's still going on, and it's a big Hollywood open secret, and I've got all these names, but I'm not going to tell you those fucking names until you donate all this money from my fucking movie. And it's like, so you're holding justice ransom for a movie, and your argument is, I can reach more people, but you're Corey Feldman, so you have a small enough following that a tweet like that or a post like that is going to get noticed by someone a little bit bigger than Feldman, and then bigger than that person, and climb a ladder, and eventually everyone's going to fucking know. So, to me, the movie excuse is just a bullshit fucking scapegoat, and you're trying to be this hero, but you're doing it in such a backhanded, ham-fisted, stupid fucking way, and I can't sit here and not call you out for it. And, like I said, he's fucking got more people listening to him than I ever will, so I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, There's something up with Corey Feldman. And I think, his big problem in the past has been a lying about a lot of things and boasting himself up as bigger than he really is. And I think he's still on that shit. He's just using it to his advantage now. Right before I hopped on here, I watched a like hour and a 20-minute, maybe hour and 10-minute podcast with comedian Harlan Williams. And the episode was pretty good, but all basically because of Harlan. And he's very humble, and he's making Corey Feldman feel comfortable to be who he is. And I just can't help but think, watching that interview, that Corey Feldman is the douchebag I've been led to believe he is by people who have worked for him in the past, and people who have come out and said like, oh, I've had an encounter with Corey Feldman and he was a piece of shit. And I just don't think we should be celebrating him and being all stoked on him if he's no better than the people he's accusing. And I'm not saying he's abusing people, but I know his ex-wife and some of those ex-employees said that he was very verbally abusive and had a temper. And I don't know. I'm not trying to throw shade at the guy for being who he is. I commend him for that. I loved him as a child actor. I'm just saying maybe we should be weary of a lot of the shit that he's fucking spouting, He'll go off on these tangents about being Michael Jackson's close buddy. And I mean, I know they knew each other, but Michael is not around to confirm or deny the level of involvement of their friendship or whatever. So I think he uses that as an excuse for his shitty fucking dance moves too, where he's emulating everything that Michael did, but in the shittiest fucking way possible. And I don't know. It definitely sounds like I'm just shitting all over the guy, and I kind of am. I'm shitting on modern Corey Feldman because I think, again, he had potential that he wasted, and he got caught up in the wrong shit. And I'm sorry he went through whatever it is that he went through, but I feel like he could have been someone decent in the film world had he just stuck with it. Because, he's going to have stories about how he was blacklisted for coming forward and saying the truth about Hollywood's open secret. And maybe that's true. I can't say it's not. But, we had similar stories with like Brendan Fraser, and Brendan Fraser has done the right thing, which is lay low, try to get as many little roles as you can, and then here he is in Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, nominated or maybe winning an Oscar. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know he had some Academy Award presence. Or Corey Feldman could have went the other route, which is the same thing as Harlan Williams, for example, or Pauly Shore, where they're not tarnishing their legacy. They're kind of embracing their past, but moving forward in a way where they bring people on their show. They talk to them, maybe acquaintances or friends they've had over the years being involved in the Hollywood circle. Feldman could be doing something like that too. And, maybe his passion is getting out there and doing this music, but that's where I have the problem. You have to be able to step back and say, like, my songs are not good. The music I'm playing is not good. People are making fun of me. And I mean, again, it's extremely possible that he's aware of all that and he's just like, fuck it, I'm all in. They're gonna hate me either way, so I might as well make some fucking money about it. I don't know. More power to him if that's the case. I just, for one, I think it's whack. And yeah, it's 2024 and I'm using the word whack. But that's just how I feel about it. Like I said, young Corey Feldman, I think he was a part of a lot of really important films that people remember fondly and happily. But I don't think his current music career, and I use that word loosely, is really where it's at for him. And check it out for yourself, you know. Angelic to the Core. That's the first album he put out where he was kind of trying to come back as a serious musical artist a number of years ago. And then, you know, he's got a new one out. I can't even remember the fucking name, but I've heard a couple songs from it, primarily Comeback King. And to me, that's that delusion we're talking about. Like, he's never really had a comeback. So I don't know how he's the king, but that's what he says. He's the comeback king, and this is his third comeback, supposedly, to him or to me. Maybe I've lost count. I don't even fucking know, but they're not comebacks, goddammit. He's never reached the heights that he reached back in the day, and I really don't think he will, you know. I think it'll be one of those things that he's going to look back on not fondly, you know. He kind of has tarnished this legacy of his from the 80s, and I just think it's kind of over for him. Speaking of over, that kind of brings me to the end of my little rant. I definitely think these will normally be review-based, but until then, that was the first episode of Side Dive on former child star and current pop rock star. I can't even say it with a straight face. Corey Feldman. And all of that said, we will catch you this coming Friday for The Devil Wears Prada. Metalcore band, been going at it for about 20 years, and we definitely can't wait to share all that with you. Our opinions on all of those albums and pretty much where they've gone. So definitely check our episode 6 out. We'll be out Friday and beyond. So once again, guys, I really appreciate you tuning in to Deep Dive. And until next time, have a good rest of your week.